Joyride, 1957 novel Intrigued by J.P. Wasmiller, Chapter 80. James and Bree were up early the next morning. They went down to breakfast by 7. James had eggs and hash, and Bree had French toast. The two then went out and walked down to the pier. The ferry to the West Bank would not leave for a couple hours, so they walked over to the Church of the Immaculate Conception on Sutherland Avenue. They entered and met a priest. They asked if he could provide some information about the region, and he showed them into his office. "What is it about Kelowna that makes it such a desirable community?" James asked. "The lake. Lake Okanagan is the big reason, but we here at Immaculate believe the early history of the area also contributes to the pleasing atmosphere." "How so?" James pressed. "Early in Canadian history, the French fur traders kind of ruled Canada, as no one other than the native peoples ventured here. Of course, the French were primarily Catholic, so the church leaders decided they had better provide venues of worship in Canada. In 1859, Father Pandosi built the first mission here in Kelowna. It was called the Okanagan Mission. Subsequently, it was rebuilt several times, and now you see our church." He pointed through the door to the magnificent sanctuary. "Is there any record of activity before Father Pandosi?" James asked. "Not that I'm aware of. You might try the library." "Thank you very much, Father," James said, standing and assisting Bree to stand. "Are you a Catholic?" he asked. "No, and yes," James said. "I was in the war, so I'm not active. But my friend Bree is Lutheran." Bree nodded. "Thank you again, but we must hurry to catch the ferry," James said. "God bless you. By the way, the ferry was named after Father Pandosi. It is the Pendozi." James and Bree both bowed and left the office. On his way out, James looked closely around the sanctuary, but saw nothing unusual for a Catholic cathedral. The two walked down to the ferry, which crossed the lake to the west bank. They were just going to ride over and back. It was a beautiful sunny day with a hint of fall in the air. The boat was nicely appointed, and the lake appeared to be a sea of glass. The two wandered the deck for a while, then sat on two chairs and began to create some slow kisses. On the deck across from them stood a tall man in a black suit. He did not stare, but kept track of their whereabouts. He thought they would get off at West Bank, but when they did not, neither did he. The happy couple each had a chicken salad sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the return trip. Their new friend, the Catholic priest, had reviewed his weekly newsletter from Rome and noticed James' name on that sheet as a person of interest. Following James' name, there was a notice to call a certain number if James was seen. The priest had a mass to give, but after completing the mass, he called the number. On the return from the ferry trip, James left Bree off at the hotel so she could rest, and he took a taxi to the library. He obtained help from the librarian, a short, blonde, slightly overweight girl with black-rimmed glasses. He pored over the material for a couple of hours, but found nothing of help. The fur traders were here at least in the 1700s, but there was nothing before that. He then went over his maps once more. He decided he would spend another day here in the delightful Okanagan Valley, then move west to Merritt, Lytton, and Clinton. As he got up from the table, he felt a pain in his right temple and sat back down. He began to massage the right side of his scalp with both elbows on the table. His face was pale, and the librarian noticed. She soon came over and asked if he was okay. "Just a migraine, miss. I'll be okay in a few minutes." "Thanks," he said softly. "Here, let me massage it. I work part-time as a massage therapist." She removed his hand and began a slow, gentle massage. Within 10 minutes, his headache was easing.